All right, Monday Night Movie Club, have we got a treat for you? We are here tonight with Leatherface himself from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, Mr. Dan Yeager, my buddy. Dan, how are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. We've got this event we're showing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. It is, I think, 50 years and some change old now, and we are celebrating everything Leatherface. So I thought, who better to celebrate Leatherface with than Leatherface himself?
Well, thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
it's a pleasure to be with.
Now, tell me, coming into this, how did you even grab the character? How did you go about it? How did you hear about it? I want to know how Big Dan became Big Leatherface.
Um, I remember in 1981, I was living in Vegas. My family had just moved there, and I heard that they were going to re-release Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the theaters. And I told all my buddies, I said, "Boys, we got to go see this movie before they realize what they've done." And pull it. We got to go see it. And so we went to the drive-in, and I got to see this movie that was legendary. I mean, we only ever heard about it. This was before
VHS.
video
Yeah.
video. Anyway, it was amazing to sit out there on the roof of a car and watch it in the desert heat. Um, it wasn't too long after that my parents bought a VCR, and I immediately went out and bought two videotapes
Hmm.
to have so that I could play them over and over. One was Eraserhead, another
Nice.
legendary movie that I'd only heard about and never seen. I only ever saw it. I saw it the first time on my own VHS tape. And the other one was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I have a long history with that movie. I was, what, 16 or 17 when I first saw it. And so, and I wore that tape out. I'm sure that tape is, I don't have it anymore. But anyway, I loved it because in recalling it and trying to describe it to friends, it was like trying to explain your own nightmare, you
Yeah.
know? Anyway, it had a profound effect.
The Gunner played it so unhinged, and it was like basically if a grizzly bear wore a mask and just came and did business, it just committed to the business that was needed to be handled. And like that's what I appreciate because like Jason is not really allowed to show personality. Kind of the same with Michael Myers. He has to play it straight. They've kind of added more personality in the later movies. But Leatherface is always he's had this loyalty to his family, and he is just unhinged whenever he thinks someone's coming against him.
Yeah, he's absolutely terrified. And fear is the greatest motivator there is.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's absolutely terrified of everybody, including all of his family members, except for Grandpa.
Everybody loves
Grandpa,
Grandpa. Yeah,
Grandpa never beat him. Grandpa was the one who always, and Grandma. That's
yeah,
why he recreated her.
sure. And I mean, Brett Wagner and I were talking yesterday, but there's been a new kind of resurgence where you look at it and you're like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is almost a family movie because of the fact that all those people that came into that like house area, they weren't invited, they weren't scheduled to be here, and they walked right
Uh-huh. Exactly.
in.
Yeah, and that was kind of the paradigm shift that took place in Texas Chainsaw 3D was, oh, wait a minute. Now we're telling the story from the other point of view,
Yeah,
and people and everybody, nobody goes around being evil.
sure.
Actually, no, there probably are psychopaths who do, but most of us are certainly capable of evil, but only from some poor other person's perspective. We're
Hmm.
always righteous in our own minds.
So, speaking of Gunner, once you ended up kind of taking the character, did you take anything from Gunner? Because you worked with Gunner. Did he give you points, or how did you spin it to where it was Big Dan, but like you still kept true to Gunner?
I met Gunner about 3 weeks into shooting. We had never spoken before that. Um, that would have been a good thing for the producers to put together, but they didn't. And nobody had time. When you're trying to put a movie together, it's a lot of bloody work for everybody. So everybody's on their own. Everybody's expected to do their job. And what I took from Gunner in creating the character was absolutely everything.
Nice.
I ripped him off as mercilessly as I could because I think that was the program of the movie.
Sure.
That was the script. The script was it's the same guy. He's just old now,
Yeah.
and so and he's in a profoundly different set of circumstances. In the original, he is largely the instrument of the will of other people.
Sure.
You know, everybody told him what to do. The cook, the hitchhiker, they told him what to do, and he did it. And he had a little bit of his own idea, but it was always expressed as being someone else. You know,
Yeah.
the mask was who he was, and the mask changed depending on what he was doing. And so we took that and ran with it. And the difference between there was intermittent in intervening growth in the character between the two movies
Hmm.
because he was taken in by his grandmother
Yeah.
and taken care of and not made to do the dirty work of the house.
Sure.
He was grandma was rich as shit, and um, he had realized the wrong done to his family.
Hmm.
And I think that was the thing he learned from grandma was, uh, vengeance is whoever claims it.
Sure.
And so he goes from basically being, a cipher who just, acts out what anybody tells him to do to having his own agenda. That was the one thing Gunner said, when he played the character, he envisioned if you remove the mask of Leatherface, there's nobody there.
Hmm.
There's literally nobody behind the mask. And that was the one difference because we had to show that yes, now there is somebody behind the mask. That's the difference.
Sure.
Um, and I think that was when they grabbed footage from the original movie, at the beginning of 3D.
Yeah.
It ends with Sally getting away and the rage that causes.
Hmm.
And so Leatherface does his famous dance,
Yeah.
they called it. Um, and it's this exaggerated, explosion of physicality.
Hmm.
And that was one thing I wanted to kind of reference in 3D at the end, where you know Leatherface survives being dragged into the carcass chopper, and
Sure.
he cuts Bert's hands off, and he falls into the thing. He does it. You'll see he raises the chainsaw over his head
Hmm.
and makes this dramatic, almost dance move of sweeping across the hands, and the chainsaw ends back above his head.
Yeah.
And I wanted that to be kind of the bookend of the,
Yeah.
of the you know
The
vengeance
sequence. Yeah.
for that original offense.
Well, and I mean, it just goes to show that the underlying tone throughout all these movies is the Saw is family. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like he protects his own. He remembers everything because all he's had time to do is sit and stew in the house. And
Yeah,
so,
and family is everything. You
yeah,
know, I mean,
even
the and
us.
the yeah
Yeah.
the yeah the Saw, yeah, yeah, the Saw is family.
And that was one of my favorite parts of RA's movie from
Mm-hmm.
Texas Chainsaw 3 was they just put that beautifully across the blade. I
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
even tattooed. You were there for it. It's the Saw's family. That is the main, like, that's it. That's his heart. That's what he's protecting. And if anyone steps up against it, I pity them. It does not
Well,
end well.
and the Saw is family, and you're either family or you're food. You know,
Yeah.
so
I got now. How was it working with Bill? Did you have fun? I mean,
I
he had a spot.
I our paths on set crossed um at the house burning,
Hmm.
and I was shooting on second unit overnight,
Gotcha.
uh, and first unit was shooting the burning of the house. And so, and we only had two cameras, and they needed them both for every shot. Not the 3D thing. I mean, they were both 3D cameras, but
Right.
anyway, they shot with two separate units just to get it all.
Yeah.
And so we would shoot, 12 hours, and then, the other unit would shoot. And you were, depending on what you were doing, you were on first unit or second unit. I was on second. First unit was shooting the burning of the house.
Hmm.
And so, anyway, I didn't want to miss that.
Yeah.
So I went over there to watch, and got to meet Bill, and he's just such a nice guy.
Sure.
Um, after it was all over and we were back in LA, I took him to the producer told me, oh, Bill Mosley's favorite thing is lamb chops over at Musso and Frank. I said, all right, I'm on it. You got his phone number? Yeah, here. I call him up. I said, pork chops, Musso and Frank. And I wanted to pick his brain about this whole, horror movie world. I
Sure.
didn't. I was new to it.
Yeah.
I had, despite having a uh, what a 30-year warning, I was not prepared. And anyway, we went to Musso and Frank and had I don't know. I can't remember if I had a martini or not. I should have. It was for lunch, but
Sure.
anyway, that's Hollywood. You can have martinis
Sure.
at lunch.
Of course, very Hollywood.
Hmm.
So, speaking of, I mean, I know that Bill Mosley is a convention staple. I know you've kind of dabbled here and there. It's even taken you over the pond, to different countries and stuff.
Yeah,
How,
I've only been to England. I meant to go to Germany, but that just never worked out for me. I don't know why. We were going to do something. They had re-released uh, kind of an anthology DVD version of all the movies or
Mhm.
something to that effect. They they sent me a copy of the thing they put inside the little booklet.
Sure.
Um, but and I was going to go for some event associated with that, but then that fell through, and yeah, I just so anyway, I went to England once.
Yeah.
That was
And
the only overseas trip I did.
how have the fans been for you as Leatherface?
Oh, lovely. Everybody is, eh, um, people either, or people are not ambivalent about Texas Chainsaw 3D. You either love it or you hate it, and I'm cool with both.
Sure.
Um, but for the most part, even the people who hate it say that, well, at least you did right by Gunner. That's the thing,
Sure.
and being a huge well, all but certainly adult life long fan of the movie, I could not do anything else. And a lot of people might criticize that, oh, you should bring your own, and I think I did. I
Yeah.
I made, I had to take what Gunner did and run him through the ringer of the intervening 20 years, of having his whole family slaughtered.
Sure.
you know in the original, he didn't go through that, and then escaping somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he finally, he had found himself in the world alone,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing he could think to do was run to grandma, you
Yeah.
know.
So I for the movie that you're in, I know that they also had a Saw tie-in. Tell us that story about just the Easter egg of the two franchises kind of meeting.
Oh yeah, well, the producers of Texas Chainsaw 3D were uh, Mark Berg, the executive producer. He is the guy who did all the Saw movies,
Hmm.
and Carl Mazzacone, the producer, actually produced a couple of the movies. And I can't remember. I'm not sure where you find his name, but it doesn't show up as producer. But
Hmm.
basically that was his role. That the guy who was producing him passed away, and he was a good friend of Carl, so Carl finished the movie for him.
Hmm.
And you know, basically that was their sales pitch too to Vortex to get the rights. Was that this is what we did. And they had a stack of Saw DVDs, and they slid them across the table. There's $1 billion worth of movies,
Yeah.
and anyway, that was the thing. So anyway, there is a great deal of you know inside baseball connection with the Saw franchise. And when you see Leatherface chasing Heather into the carnival, and she jumps the fence and he cuts his way through it, which I actually did. It was rigged.
Yeah.
I'll say it is a practical effect. I'll give him
Sure.
that. But I cut through that fence,
Absolutely.
and anyway, the first character he meets is the little pig come running out, the little pig in the pig saw mask with
Yeah.
her little chainsaw, and she's this tiny little girl, um, actress. Her name's Carrie Kramer.
Hmm.
Sweetest little thing. Anyway, she comes up and she's being all scary, and Leatherface is there, and I got time for this.
So he scares the crap out of her. Yeah.
Yeah, she goes running, and
So
mayhem ensues.
yeah, mayhem always has to ensue. Now, was it your idea for, I mean, the scene still gives me goosebumps, to attach the mask to your face?
No, that was in the script, and really a cool idea. Actually that came in one of the last rewrites, from what I recall. They were trying to come up with visual ways to show, you know, the depth of 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 the meaning of these things. And anyway, when we shot the principal photography, um, the plan was going to be to put in the needle and thread digitally. And so basically, you know, they said just mime sewing the mask on.
Yeah.
And I read it a few times and tried, all right, I get it, you know, and so anyway, I went through and I did it. And, I mined it, pulling the thread out and, doing it. And I thought I did a pretty good job. And so anyway, they were screening it for Lionsgate, an early cut. They wanted to make
Hmm.
sure they didn't have any drastic changes that they wanted to make before they finished it. And one of the executive producers walks out of the theater and says, "Oh my God, that scene where he sews the mask on is just awesome. I love it." And the producer told her, "Well, it's going to be great when we put the digital needle and thread in." And she said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he says, "Well, we haven't added that digital effect." He was just miming that. She said,
Yeah.
"No, no, she swore she saw the needle and thread." And so, anyway, the time came to actually put the digital needle and thread in, and the digital effects were going to cost $80,000. And by that time in the process, there was no $80,000 in an account anywhere to get it done. And so the producer calls me up. We hadn't done reshoots yet. He calls me up and he says, "I got an idea for that." He told me about the $80,000. He says, "But I got an idea." He said, "Would you mind actually putting a needle in your mouth?" I said, "At this point, I'll sew the fucking thing on my face and get stuff done."
just get this picture
And
done.
yeah, Jesus. Yeah, this was like a year later. And I said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And so anyway, we choreographed this whole thing. He figured out how to stage all the needles. There was one in my hand, and there was one staged just with the very tip of it that I could grab
Yeah.
in the mask with a bloody thread on it. And the one in my hand was rigged so that it went down, and um as I was pulling it, there was somebody behind me pulling the other end. There were two threads going on. And
Yeah.
anyway, we faked the whole thing. It's all fake. And if you watch it closely, you can catch it. But it's really effective, I
Oh, it
thought.
looks beautiful.
We saved, I mean, that shot probably cost him $800 by the time we were done. And so anyway, it was good. But yeah, that was all movie magic.
Fabulous. Well,
Good old fashioned practical effects.
yeah, that's what it's all about.
We
Um,
we that was one thing I enjoyed about that movie too, is there were, the only CGI was the flying chainsaw, um the cutting the guy in half.
yeah. You mean you didn't really cut the guy in half?
No, no, Karam is still with us, and
Both halves are still together.
yeah, yeah, fully united.
Then, man, I always enjoy watching that one on screen with you. Like you definitely capture. I mean, I'm a big guy. You're a bigger guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I think you're a head and a foot, like at least a whole head taller than I am.
I'm
And
shrinking though, man.
you hulk. It's hulking, and you definitely you command that presence. And every time you're on there, it's just like, man, he killed it. He did it right.
Well, thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. I'm gonna wrap up real quick because the little Zoom button came on. I was like, oh no, 10 minutes. Uh, Dan, is there anything you want to tell the fans? I mean, tell them my mission statement here is to keep these guys coming to the movies, bring up the lore of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bring out all the classics, come see the new movies. Don't watch Godzilla at home on your phone, in the bathroom. Go see him be larger than life on a movie screen.
Yeah, cinema is important and we can't lose it. This on demand civilization that we've built is going to be our doom.
Hmm.
We have to keep connected in real time with each other, and we all have to go sit in the dark with strangers and have profound emotional experiences. That's what cinema is. And, you know, support independent theaters.
Yes. Support all the theaters. Run out. Go see a movie. If you like it, go back and see it again. There's no rule saying you can't. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
enjoy yourself.
Drive-ins. God, I love drive-ins too.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
It's Americana. It's what we're built on. And watching these movies like Leatherface or Jaws or King Kong, you just don't get it while you're looking at your phone. It doesn't translate.
Or, Mad Max Fury Road. I
Yeah,
mean, it doesn't have to be an old movie. I mean,
sure.
yeah, they're
They've got some great ones. I mean, now with everything they're doing for the movie magic, it's the sky's the limit, and your imagination can run wild.
yeah, and these online streaming services, every punk has an HD video camera in his pocket and thinks he can make a movie. And so, these streaming services are clamoring for content.
Hmm.
They no longer want movies, they want content. And so, you scroll through some of these things and they're just the worst.
It's terrible.
There's thousands of them, but to try and find the good ones is almost impossible.
Yeah,
That was the thing about like in LA, the New Art Theater and the New Beverly Cinema. Those were carefully curated programs
sure.
where you would show up whether you knew what the movie was or not. you know you just
Absolutely.
went, and you were guaranteed to see something. I mean, that's there are a couple of streaming services that do that, like Movie, I recall. Um but still you're watching it on a small screen. And if you come to New York, I will show you Texas Chainsaw 3D on the big screen in 3D.
That's it, you guys. We're wrapping this up. We're all packing our bags. We're going to New York. We're gonna hang out with Big Dan over here, and we're gonna watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. The
Well,
way
I got four sets of glasses.
Perfect. I got a couple extra glasses. I think you signed some. We'll just blink through it,
All
and
right.
we'll have ourselves a party. Dan Yeager, thank you so much. This has been such a treat. We will probably post this on YouTube later so people can watch it too who can't make it to the show. Have an amazing day, Big Dan. I mean,
Good
send my
talking to you,
love to
brother.
the family.
Will do. Take care.
All right, you too.